Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for stopping by. My name is Glory and I like to make videos about self-improvement and also how we can just be a better person, and I'm glad for you to join me on my journey. First of all, happy 2023, and today I'm really excited to be sharing with you how I set up my personal journal, which is a tool that aids me in self-development. And I also define it as a self-improvement journal, and just happy to give you guys a tour of how I use it. I recently made another video here that you can watch on setting up my bullet journal for 2023, and in that video I briefly talked about setting up my personal journal as well, so this is kind of the extended video from that video. If you're interested in how I use my planner specifically for time management skills, please go check that video out, but this one is more about self-development. So keeping a journal is really important to me because it feels like I'm having a conversation with myself when I'm going through a hard time. And also, I'm just a really sentimental person, so I really like seeing my growth over time and seeing what reflections and things that I wrote down, say a few months ago, or even in this case, years ago down the line. So since I briefly mentioned about going through this personal journal in my 2023 bullet journal setup video, I thought I would go in depth in this video and just share a few spreads for you in my journal. So this is my old one in 2022, and I'll be setting up my new one for 2023. Just to show the setup of a few spreads and also perhaps write a few spreads with you guys, which I hope you'll be interested in seeing. So I give full credits for the inspiration of this setup to Clark Cakeley, so you can definitely check his video out too, because I think he is the pure guru of self-development and journaling in general. So I also want to talk about briefly about the type of notebook I use. So I use the Lectern 1917 notebook. So it's a popular notebook and I really like this. I think I paid around £15, like I said in the last video. That's how much I paid for these notebooks. And they have 251 pages, which is a lot of space for you to write about anything. So I really highly recommend these notebooks. And for this specific notebook, I am using completely blank pages. So these pages are all blank. So for my bullet journal video, I use dotted pages. But for this one specifically, I like using blank in case I want to draw something or all those good stuff. So now we're going to do the setup. So this is my old 2022 personal journal. I archived it by putting these stickers down. So this is a new one, which doesn't have any stickers on them because it's going to be weird if I bring out this notebook and everyone just sees it's my journal. So first, let's set up the front page. I just wrote my name and I briefly set up some spreads in there because January passed for a few days and I already started setting this up. But we're going to set the rest of it up with you guys. So this was my old one. So as you can see, we're going to write our names. Let's first set up the front page, which should be the number of days that we still have on this earth. It sounds pretty grim, but also comforting in a way, to show the number of days you have left to live to make an impact in this world. The way to calculate this is to assume we live to 80 years old, and then we multiply 80 by 365 days in a year to get 29,200 days. Then we subtract the number of days we lived already, which for me is 21 years, so I have lived 7,665 days. Therefore, I only have 29,200 minus 7,665, which equals to 21,535 days left on this earth to make an impact. So now that we have that, then on the next page, you can write some quotes that you find inspiring throughout the year that you have made a big impact on you. Then you can just collect them here throughout the year. So I'm leaving this blank for now because the year just started and I haven't collected any quotes yet, so I'm just gonna write the header and leave it be for the time being. Then on the back page of the journal, you can write about your goals in terms of career, health, and play, and also just other categories that are important to you. So after we wrote that, we can talk about goals. So for example, I can write in terms of the long term, but also a daily habit thing. So for career, I can write about my subscriber count, which I don't really like actually talking about, but we're gonna write that here. Taking on different projects. For health, I'm going to write, for example, I want to reach 18% body fat, which is more of a long-term goal, but also to go to the gyms 4 times a week, which is a daily habit thing. Meditate every day for at least 15 minutes, which is a daily habit thing too. And for play, I'm going to write about going on a trip with my mom to India, which has been both of our dreams for quite a bit of time. So here are just some goals I wrote that I guess I'll share with you guys. It's always a bit embarrassing. So this is the the back page for the goals. And then the next page is our index. So as you can see, I've set it up already. So how this works is in my previous journal, you can see that I have these indexes laid out. And here you can see some tabs, which I separated the journal. So I calculated the number of pages that this journal has, which is 251 pages. And I kind of just divided that into different sections. So you can fully customize this. The way I did it was just according to academic, health, book notes, free space, and gratitude. So each of us equally divided. So I just have similar and equal pages for each of them. And after doing this for 1 year, I realized that certain sectors take up more spaces. So for me, that would be the free space. So the free journaling space, I wanted to have more space. So for this year, I changed it so that I put health and career together because I didn't write that much for that specific area. And then for book notes and online notes, another one. And then I have journaling space this time. I doubled it. And then the last one, I wanted to do free spaces where I can talk about gratitude or finances or anything like that. So after we went through this index and contents page, let's move to the career. So I already wrote a little bit of stuff in there, but I don't want to go through it because I'm embarrassed. So first off, obviously go into career. You can write about whatever your career goals like you just, such as promotion or work related things in general. Back then I wrote about companies that I was going to apply for or my career plan in the next 3 years. So for example, this was my old journaling entry. So I talked about like my summer holiday plans and then which animation studios I was going to apply for because back then I was really interested in animation and just talking about career related stuff. So that was my old one. So in here we can write about like current goals. So for example, let's say 2023 career. We can say currently I started my job on the 18th of October. So my position now. You can write about your career goals such as promotions or just work-related things in general. Back then I noted down companies that I was applying for, my life career plan in the next 3 years, etc., etc., and some interview questions that I was thinking of having a good response to. And you can just collect all of these things related to your career in this section. Now I can also write about some plans for my career and other things I'm thinking of doing. So right now I'm an architectural assistant, like a part 1, and then you can talk about your plans to go next year, and this is kind of like what you can write in the career section. So we also have the health and fitness section here. So I'm going to go back to my old journal for the health and fitness and just show you kind of what I write in there. So for example, I kind of talked about caloric deficit and surplus depending on if I wanted to lose or gain muscle. And I kind of talked about training like hypertrophy and kind of the different reps that I have to get there and talk about reverse dieting and kind of all these like just gym rat stuff that you can talk about. So in my news journal, I can talk about like obviously let's write health and fitness for your header. So for the health section, this is where I can write recipes, protein intake, food tracking, and workout plans. And also particular goals that I want to hit this year, for example, the body fat percentage goal, and the plan that I'm going to take to achieve them, such as cutting and bulking. I also journal about particular thoughts and feelings I have regarding health and fitness. For example, back then when I wrote a lot about body dysmorphia and just body image issues in general. And I think writing about them in the health and fitness section can keep you balanced to not go too much where you feel this imbalance where you're too obsessed with health and fitness, but also doing enough to keep yourself healthy and going. So the next part would be books and online notes. So if we go back to my old journal, for example, I just write books. So for example, this is How Not to Die, and then talk about like the things like this is like modern dating and dating apps and life living in the city or whatever. This is digital minimalism, and then some quotes I have and some notes that I wanted to do, like delete Instagram. Well, that clearly didn't happen. High quality leisure. And then this is another book, So Good They Can't Ignore You. And you just write lots of notes and all these things. So sometimes I also looked at like YouTube videos and would just write notes about it. So now that we're in the new journal, we can talk about like books I've read on my Kindle. Sometimes when I take online classes or courses, I would also write some notes here or also in a separate note. Since I believe in the fact that the mind should be used to think things and process information instead of using it to remember things. I use this in conjunction with my book notes template on Notion as well.
So we can write an entry together. So for example, recently I have been reading on How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. So let's do one on this chapter.
So you kind of just write notes, and obviously there's more lessons, but I just wanted to give you guys a taster of what to do in this section.
The next section is free journaling space, which is really just a brain dump section for you to write about any thoughts you have throughout the year. Normally, I would write about my worries, or if I'm happy, or if I feel troubled about something. Normally, it would go like this. I'd write the date, weekday, and time of the day if necessary, because sometimes I tend to write in here when I can't sleep at 1 a.m. So I'll write the time just so I get the kind of vibe and atmosphere that I'm writing this entry in. So let's do an entry together as well. So today's date is 15th of January, 2023. So I'm just writing this about, I guess, this video and YouTube.
So I just wrote an entry, and this is kind of like how I would do it, and I guess this is quite a vulnerable entry if you read through what I wrote. But yeah, that's kind of how I've been feeling so far about YouTube and everything. So this, I guess, is quite a vulnerable entry. But the idea is that you can write about anything you want, basically. So yeah.
The next part is free space for anything. So usually in here, I would like to write about gratitude. So if I'm not feeling very happy on a particular day, I would write about things that I am grateful for my life. And when I look back, I can see all this collection of things that made me happy, and I think it would boost my mood a little. So let's do that exercise now. I am grateful for...
So these are some things I'm grateful for, and when you collect a lot of these and when you're feeling down, you can always look back at your entries and just see how they make you really, really happy. The other thing you can do here in these journals is journaling exercises, which I usually do if I'm feeling really down or stuck in life and I don't know where I want to be. These usually include really deep questions, like when do I feel the most joy? There is this one exercise actually recently that I did a few months ago, and I really encourage everyone to do it, which is the 100 questions exercise, where you literally just spend any amount of time, say 15 minutes to 30 minutes, writing down 100. And there are no rules as to what questions you can write. You can ask literally anything, like why is the sky blue? Or what is the meaning of my life? Or what is my purpose? You just keep writing questions to get a glimpse of what's in my mind, like what's been on my mind, what's been on my head, like, and what are some of the most deeply burning questions that I want to ask living on this earth. So here's the 100 questions thing, the 100 questions exercise that I did. And yeah, do your own. I don't want to like give it all away, but here you go. That is what I wrote about. And it's just a really good exercise to find out what you value the most in life and what takes up most of your headspace. In the end, it's almost just like having a conversation with yourself. And when I did this exercise and I look back on the questions that I've asked, I feel really inspired and just nice to see that what things I care and value about. And I just think that everyone would benefit from doing this exercise. My mom really loved doing this exercise, and she realized at first she was really skeptical, like, why am I writing 100 questions? So she wrote 5 questions and was like, okay, I'm done. And I'm like, no, mom, you have to write like really 100 questions. And then she really got into it and discovered all these things about herself. And she was like, wow, this is really just having a conversation with myself. And I was just really happy that it had the same impact on her as it did on me. So I really encourage you guys to do this exercise because it's just really fun as well. So if you want, I want to go through it briefly with you guys as well. So again, this is the front page, some life lessons and quotes, your index and contents, your career, health and fitness that we wrote about together, some book notes. This is a podcast that I listened to and the books that I read about. And then you have your journal space, the journal entry that we wrote about together, our free space that we wrote about, things that we're grateful for, and then the last page with goals that you have. And that was it. So that was my self-development personal journal. I hope it was helpful, and I hope it inspired you to do the same or something similar along the lines. It doesn't have to be this full length because I know it can seem really intimidating in the beginning, but if you just have somewhere where you can write some of these things down, I still think it would benefit you in some way. I really just love doing these exercises because, like I said, I'm a really sentimental person, and I just love looking back on previous journal entries and reflections just to see how much I've grown as a person over the years. If you found these exercises and spreads to be overwhelming, don't be, because ultimately at the end of the day, it is your journal and you are the one to set the rules. In fact, I don't write in my personal journal every single day. I just write in it whenever I feel like writing things down and whenever inspiration hits me, or I just have something on my mind that I want to talk about. Well, write about. Or if something really memorable happened that day, like I had a really good day talking with friends about like really philosophical topics and discussions, I want to write about it and just remember it in the future. The most important thing, honestly, if you take from this video, is just to tailor some type of journaling slash reflection slash self-development system that works for you. This video just serves as an inspiration, and I just hope that inspires you to do the same thing for yourself. That's all for today's video. Let me know in the comments below what you think of it, and if you have any questions, or if you managed to do the journaling exercise, let me know how it goes. I'm always really excited to hear what you guys have to say. And if you have any questions, I'll be really happy to answer them. Thank you so much for watching again and joining me on the self-development journey, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.